Hello and welcome back to new number ones for the week of June the 24th. My name is Corey and you're here with me now. And the pick of the week is Mad Cave Studios' Blüdwire number one, written and lettered by Paul Allor and illustrated by Ermitis Blanco. To give you a quick rundown of this book, our two main characters here on the cover are Ace and Zora. Ace and Zora are two robots that were designed to have sex with, and they are on the run. And this very first issue does a very great job of establishing, like everything really. So again, like the thing that we look for and what makes a good number one are our main characters established? Is the world established? And is there enough meat on the bone that kind of keeps you want to go? So first and foremost, we have Ace and Zora. Ace is the more humanoid looking robot. It's established in the first few pages that she was a robot that was already put out into market and customized. And Zora is the more mechanical looking robot, and she is rescued in the first few pages. And it is implied she has not yet made it out to market, so to speak. So Ace is freeing Zora from this sort of transport vehicle, and we establish some things very quickly about the two that make them very dynamic. First and foremost, Ace is very jaded and very traumatized by the things she's experienced since being put out for sale, essentially. And Zora is definitely more altruistic. It's implied that she has memorized serial numbers of other robots, much like herself and Ace, who have a sense of self-awareness. And it's Zora's mission to free these robots and to, I guess, kind of establish a community of sort of independent robots like she is. Ace's objective is much more protecting Zora. And if that means that to help Zora accomplish her mission, she has to do a lot of things and kill a lot of people, Ace is absolutely fine with that. She's very misanthropic. She does not seem to care for humanoids, much less other robots that are not sentient like herself. Like I said, this is a very traumatized character. And I think that Paul does a really good job with that in the writing. Um, this is basically one really long scene in this comic, and I think that does great because it immediately puts things into action. The art by Ermitis Blanco. Let me see if I find some kind of good dynamic pages. Um, very action oriented stuff. As you can see, not a lot of focus is put into the background in some panels because what he's wanting you to see is more of what's happening in the foreground, which sometimes people will criticize, but I think it's fine in this instance. Like I said, this is a book that's trying to get its energy out into the open very quickly, which was a big critique I had of the last two books that we reviewed last week. Was that it felt like they took forever to get started, and like you could have taken that whole issue, put it in 6 pages, and then really gotten your story going. Uh, Not the issue here with Blüdwire. Blüdwire hits the ground running in a way that I find pretty satisfying. So what we know about the world is that interaction between two characters in the first few panels. These robots are not seen as anything more than objects. Women are completely devalued as well as it is implied. So this is definitely a book about literally the objectification of people and viewing them as nothing more than something to put your dick in for all intents and purposes. So I think Paul does that. I think sometimes there are a couple of instances where I felt that things were a little on the nose, maybe a little too heavy-handed. Like there's a panel where Zora is saying like, "Oh, we've got the serial numbers. We can go free these people." And Ace goes, "Sure, if that's important to you." And Zora says, "Are you important to us?" And as Ace is answering yes, Zora starts screaming bluff, which is to imply that there is a bluff coming up and they're on a very fast vehicle and they're about to crash. So I thought that was a little too cutesy maybe for what the book is, but I'm not going to hold that against him. As for is there enough meat on the bone here to keep the series going? I think so. I don't really know what their next move is. It's left very open at the end. I know the next issue is not going to come out until I think August. So I hope that taking the month of July off doesn't really slow any of the momentum down, because I think the Blüdwire starts off on a very good foot, and I would recommend it as a new series moving forward. you're into sort of socio-political themes or big action, or just two very strong female-based characters at the very front. So that being said, that's going to do it here for new number ones. I'll see you guys next week.